Good day and welcome to Mayo King's TV News. I am Tinella Emanuela. Now to begin the news, here are some of our top stories. Senator Dafinone speaks on child abductions in Delta community as woman accused of child theft set ablaze. Oborevwori mourns Oscar Ibru, says his passing a great loss to Urhobo Nation and Nigeria. On the business news, Delta targets 1 trillion naira 2026 budget. In the world of sports, Super Eagles to face Colombia in November friendly. Now the news in full. Senator representing Delta Central, Ede Dafinone, has described the wave of child abductions rocking Agbarho community in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State as heartbreaking and a dangerous trend that must be urgently tackled. The lawmaker on Thursday raised an alarm over the disturbing trend, expressing sympathy with grieving families and assuring them of his solidarity and commitment to pressing for answers at the highest levels. The Delta Central Senator called on the Delta State Police Command, Ughelli Area Command, and other federal security agencies to step up investigations, increase patrols, and work closely with the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. He noted that the recent rescue of 8 trafficked children in Delta State showed that proactive policing and intelligence could yield results. He further urged community leaders, under the guidance of the OVA of Agbarho, to maintain vigilance through neighborhood watch groups, parental sensitization, and partnership with schools. Meanwhile, as an indication that community patience is diminishing, residents of the Agbarho town in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State set ablaze a woman accused of attempting to steal a 7-year-old baby. Eyewitnesses said the woman, allegedly from Ughelli town, was caught in the act before being dragged into the street and beaten up by an angry mob. Despite pleas from few voices for the suspect to be handed over to security agencies, the mob reportedly overpowered them and set her on fire as fear and anger boiled over the mob action. Delta State government has announced the restriction of vehicular and human movement throughout the state on Saturday, September 27, 2025. According to a government special announcement released on Thursday, 25 September, by the Delta State Ministry of Information, the restriction of movement will run between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. The special announcement, which was credited to the Director of Public Communication, functioning permanent secretary in the State Ministry of Information, Harold OG, noted that the 3-hour restriction of movement is to ensure that residents in the state participate fully in the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. However, the Oborevwori Ogiame Atuwashe III on Thursday, September 2025, blessed Ikorodu community, Warri in Warri South local government area. The monarch who entered the densely populated community amid pomp and pageantry blessed the community hall and thereafter made a royal entry to the creek side of the community, offering prayers and blessing. The revered king's visit to the community marked the symbolic end of the last community that hosted the now popular Gigo Agofen ahead of the next Gigo Agofen socio-cultural showpiece slated for Saturday, September 27 at the Olu's Palace, Warri. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, Delta State Governor, has expressed deep sorrow over the death of prominent Urhobo son, businessman and philanthropist Ologun Oscar Ibru, describing his passing as a monumental loss to the Urhobo nation and Nigeria at large. The businessman and philanthropist reportedly died on Wednesday morning at the age of 67. Oborevwori, in a statement issued by Festus Ahon, his chief press secretary in Asaba, commiserated with the Ibru family at Agbarho, the people of Delta State, and the Robo Nation on the demise of the respected industrialist. It said the late Hebrew, son of the Michael Hebrew dynasty, lived a life of service, industry, and philanthropy, adding that his immense contribution to commerce, hospitality, and social development would remain indelible. Additionally, in a statement by the president of ULF, Ologun Peter Igor, and the Urhobo Leadership Forum, Abuja, the association has expressed sadness over his passing at 67. Also, great Ovede Ogboru has expressed a great and deep shock over the sudden news of the demise of Oscar. In a condolence message made available to newsmen, Ogboru joined millions of Nigerians in mourning this significant loss, which he believes has impacted several lives in the Robo Nation, Delta State, and the country at large. Ogbaru lauded Oscar Ibru's legacy as one of service, enterprise, and generosity, noting that his vision and leadership have left an indelible mark on the sands of time. Traders at the popular trade fair complex were thrown into mourning yesterday as the Lagos state government began demolishing their buildings over lack of proper documentation. It was gathered that more than 19 buildings, each reportedly valued at over 150 million naira, were affected by the exercise. The buildings were located at the new Mandela Plaza within the trade fair complex. The state government said the operation aimed to remove illegal and unsafe structures from the trade fair complex in Ojo as part of efforts to restore order and enforce physical planning laws. The state government also ordered that all ongoing construction works within the complex be altered until proper approval is granted, warning that failure to comply would result in the demolition of the affected structures. The Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Olumide Olayinka, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Aegis and Planning Matters, Dr. Abiodun Babatunde Olajide, gave the directive during the enforcement exercise. Speaking after a meeting with the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Lagos International Trade Fair Complex Management Board, Oluyinka stressed that all buildings within the complex must present evidence of valid permits, warning that failure to do so would lead to their demolition. The development sparked outrage among occupants and shop owners, many whom insisted they were not given prior notice before the exercise began. Now on entertainment news. Streaming giant Spotify has released its top list of top 5 female Afrobeat artists in the last 12 months, with Nigerian singer Arya Star topping the list. Spotify hailed Arya Star as the top star of Afrobeats. Grammy-winning Nigeria singer Tems is number 2 on the list. At number 3 is American Cameroonian singer Libyanka. Malian French star Aya Nakamura took the 4th spot, while British Nigerian singer Daku completed the top 5. South African singer Tyler was surprisingly missing from the list despite winning all the major Afrobeats awards in the past 1 year. Spotify also released the list of top 5 Afrobeat artists in Latin America. The list was entirely occupied by Nigerian musicians. Rema is number 1 of the list. Arya Star took the 2nd spot, while CK completes the top 3. Burna Boy and Wizkid are number 4 and 5 respectively. Now on the business news. Delta State Governor Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori has announced plans by his administration to present a budget of over 1 trillion naira for the 2026 fiscal year, aimed at consolidating socio-economic and infrastructural development across the state. The governor made this known on Thursday during the state government citizen engagement on the 2026 budget held at the Unity Hall Government House, Asaba. Represented by the Commissioner for Economic Planning, Mr. Sonny Ekedayen, Governor Oborevwori explained that 67% of the budget will be devoted to capital expenditure, while 33% would go to recurrent expenditure. According to him, the distribution reflects his administration's resolve to prioritize infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other critical projects, while also sustaining obligations such as workers' salary and operational costs of government. He emphasized that the capital bias of the budget underscores a deliberate focus on growth, development, and improved service delivery. The governor further disclosed that through prudent financial management, the state's debt profile had been significantly reduced, creating room for sustainable growth. He noted that internally generated revenue (IGR) had grown steadily without new tax burdens on citizens, thanks to improved compliance, blockage of leakages, and an expanded tax net. Now on the foreign scene, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said he is ready to work with world leaders to implement a peace plan for Israel and the Palestinians announced by France on Monday. Speaking via video at the United Nations General Assembly, Abbas reiterated his rejection of future governing role for Hamas in Gaza and demanded its disarm. He also called on countries which had not yet recognized the Palestinian state to do so, and for the UN to grant it full membership. Abbas denounced Israel's military offensive in Gaza, accusing it of committing one of the most horrific humanitarian tragedies of the 20th and 21st centuries. Recalling that Abbas, 89, was barred from traveling to New York to appear in person when he and 80 other Palestinian officials had their visas revoked by the US State Department last month. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio blamed them for undermining peace efforts and for seeking the unilateral recognition of a conjectural Palestinian state. Moreover, the US is currently opposed to recognizing Palestine, saying such a move is a reward for Hamas. Abbas endorsed the peace plan announced by French President Emmanuel Macron at Monday's summit, which was so shared by Saudi Arabia. The plan calls for the simultaneous release of the 48 remaining hostages held by Hamas with an end of Israeli military operations across Gaza. Now in the world of sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are set to face Colombia in an international friendly in November. The friendly will hold at the Citi Field in New York on Thursday, 18 November. Meanwhile, Eric Chelley's side have another friendly lined up against Venezuela before the clash with Cafeteros. The encounter with Venezuela is slated for the Shell Energy Stadium hosting on Friday, 14 November. Colombia will come up against New Zealand in Fort Lauderdale on Saturday, 15 November, before facing the Super Eagles. The Super Eagles will use the games against Venezuela and Colombia as part of their preparations for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, which will be hosted by Morocco in December. They will be in action against Crocodiles of Lesotho and Squirrels of Benin Republic in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers next month. Now to end the news recap on our headlines. Senator Dafinone speaks on child abductions in Delta community as a woman accused of child theft set ablaze. Oborevwori mourns Oscar Ibro, says his passing a great loss to Yoruba Nation and Nigeria. On the business news, Delta targets 1 trillion naira 2026 budget. On sports, Super Eagles to face Colombia in November friendly. That's the news as read and edited by Timiala Emanuela. Thanks for watching.